What's up, guys? It's Jeramie with JeramieLu Photography. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We are in the future son's room, Jetson. It's July 5th right now, and he's supposed to be here any day, so we're all just kind of hanging out at home, not really going anywhere, not doing anything, just waiting for this baby to come. But it led me to kind of talk about something that I've always wanted to talk about, which is second shooters. Do you want to be a second shooter? What do you do when you are a second shooter? And why do you need second shooters? So let's talk about second shooters right now. What's up, guys? Again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If this video helps you out in any way, give it a thumbs up. And then you can click that bell for notifications. It'll tell you every time we have a new video for you guys, so you guys can just tune in and watch us and join in the conversation. Today's video is fairly simple. It's something that I've kind of always thought about in my head and not really talked about to anybody, although I've read a lot of vlogs and blogs and trogs and dogs and all that stuff on this subject. This is kind of my input on it. So when I started my business, I became a primary photographer only. I did my own thing. I never really had a second shooter. And then I built my business so fast that I never actually got the opportunity to second shoot for a lot of photographer friends of mine. I was already booked with a wedding anytime that opportunity came up, and I've only second shot a wedding once. And it was amazing and awesome. It was a couple that actually requested me to shoot their wedding. I was booked at the time. My wedding canceled, so a photographer asked me to second shoot a wedding. Turns out to be their wedding, so they got me and this other photographer. And it was awesome and it was amazing. So it was fun to kind of be behind the scenes. I would have liked if they didn't know who I was. I want to kind of go in incognito and just grab my shots and kind of wow and amaze myself, which in turn will wow them. But it was okay. So it was awesome. It was a great wedding. We had a great time. And at this point, I'm usually out looking for second shooters, maybe 10 to 15 a year for weddings. And I never find the same second shooter twice. It's somebody that I work with that I like, and I want to make sure that they can shoot alongside me. So this video is for you guys who are like, hey, I want to be a second shooter. How do I be a second shooter? And what do I need to expect when I second shoot? Let's talk about that. So guys, second shooters are... The job of a second shooter is to shoot everything that the main photographer doesn't or can't. Different angles, candid photos, weird photos that nobody really requested, the extra family photos during cocktail hour. The job of a primary photographer at this point, you don't stop doing what you're doing. You shoot everything based on your timeline. Just think of the second shooter as another person that goes around and grabs everything else in detail for you as well. So if I was a second shooter, while the main photographer is getting, let's say, the bride and bridesmaids photos, I'm hanging out with the dudes, grabbing shots of them, they're drinking. When the main photographer's getting shots of the dudes, I'm over with the girls, hanging out, getting candids of them, laughing, hanging out, doing all that stuff. It's not like one photographer takes over the other, and that's the way I like running my second shooters, because I want my clients to feel like they're getting a little bit extra, a little bit more, and also I can do a full wedding by myself. So I feel like it's super lazy if I say, I got the dudes, you got the girls, and make sure that you're shooting an f2 and we're good to go. Make sure that delegation of what's supposed to happen is going on, and that's the best way to utilize a second shooter. I know I kind of backtracked there, but if you want to be a second shooter, that's exactly what you need to know. You need to know what you're shooting, when you're shooting, and how you're shooting. If you want to be a second shooter, you do need to contact these main photographers. You need to contact and push out and say, hey guys, my rate is X, even though sometimes we dictate rate ourselves. And I'm looking to second shoot a wedding, and get me in. Whether it's to build your portfolio or you're a part-time photographer and want to learn a little about weddings, it's the greatest way to do it. So here's how I go about looking for my second shooters, guys. I look at everybody's work within my area all the time. But whenever I have a gig, I try to book it out about 3 to 4 months in advance. My clients actually pay an extra premium to have a second shooter as part of my package. So I put it out there, usually on social media, and say, hey guys, who's available throughout this day? Send me a resume and portfolio. At the same time, I'm already emailing some of the trusted second photographers that I've worked with in the past that actually did a great job. There's two kinds of people that come in this route. There's people that just want to learn, want to shoot great, but they're they're insecure and they're a little bit worried about what to get, so they don't know what to shoot. And at the day of the wedding, they get a little lazy. They just kind of walk around. They tell me there's nothing to shoot, and that kind of irritates me a little bit. And there's a second person who is gung-ho, who's going to shoot for their portfolio, who's going to kill it, who's going to be amazing. And that's the person that you want. I don't know what it is, but I don't know if it's because it's not their wedding and it's not their thing. People feel like they don't have to invest as much time and effort into it. I mean, they're making good money. We pay on average, I want to say, from the last Facebook post, about $30 to $50 per hour for a second shooter. Anywhere from $300 to $500. It just depends, and that's about 10 hours. So, you know, let's say like 300-ish. For the day, and we call it a shoot and burn. And basically what happens is my photographer shoots, they send me the raw images, I add those to my edit flow, and then I edit those all the same. I do something a little different. I make them sign a contract. I allow my second shooters to utilize these photos for their portfolio. They just have to ask me and tell me when and where they're gonna post it, just in case they go home and they try to rock a sneak peek and it goes out before I can do it, and all of a sudden my client's like, oh my God, these photos are amazing. And I'm like, no, I didn't. Take those pictures. So we just want to make sure that our brand is stuck with there, because when a second shooter shoots for us, they're shooting for us. So everything needs to go out with your main business name. Now, second shooters, just remember a couple etiquette things. Don't hand your business cards out at weddings that you're second shooting for. I don't even hand out business cards of that I'm shooting that wedding for. So you don't do it because you're working under my company. So there's no reason for you to be passing that stuff out. That's a little cheesy, it's a little weird, it's unethical, there's nothing illegal about it, there's nothing wrong with it, except that it's unethical and it's just a little shady. And this is like your wedding, second shooters. Make sure that you have your batteries, your lenses. Talk to the main photographer on style, on what they're looking for, what they're going for. Usually by this time, the photographer's chosen you for your style, so you have to worry about it. But I always give a couple things. I'm like, hey, I always like to shoot at f2 to 2.8 and then adjust everything else around there. I love shooting through things. I love shooting wide open shots. I love tight shots. I want you to have some fun, and I want you to build this for a portfolio. In turn, that will build the wedding portfolio as well. I never use my second shooter's wedding images or portfolio images or images that they give me for my own portfolio. That's just how I feel. It's not what I shot, so I'm not going to put it up, but my clients do get an extra perk out of it, and ultimately I make a little bit more money of a profit on that as well. And if you guys are second shooting, a few things to look for. Always be camera weary. Always know where your main photographer is. Always never be in their way, and the main photographer is usually going to be good about staying out of your way as well. Get the emotional shots. Get the shots that you normally can't get as a main photographer. Side angles of people crying, people laughing, people joking, people drinking, having some fun. That's your job, to get these little side angles. Stuff that you can't really get, and then you can actually just even get in a corner and just kind of play and just watch everybody and grab what you need to grab while the main photographer and his assistant are doing their thing. That's the best way to utilize it. What do you guys think? Do you second shoot? Do you have a second shooter? I know some companies shoot with 2 people at once. I don't have a company like that. I just shoot for myself, and if I need somebody, I'll bring somebody in. But sometimes there's husband and wife teams. So tell me, guys, what do you guys tell your second shooters? Do you have some tips for your second shooters in the comments below? I'd love to hear them. And I'm going to throw this out there now, guys. If you are a main photographer and you're ever in need of a second shooter, I am happy to go and second shoot with you. Just let me know, and if I have the date open, I would love to second shoot for any photographer anywhere. Like I said, it's one of those things where I just want to be incognito, go and shoot, do an amazing thing. I don't even want my name out there, and I just want to have some fun and bring back, and that excites me, that makes me happy. But nobody's ever asking me. Like, I want people to ask me. I will second shoot for you. That's it, guys. We're gonna go wait for this baby. I'm gonna go.